going on, guys? So the first way you can scientifically get people to like you more is by having an opinion on a subject. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but when I was younger, I had first moved to a new area. I'd started going back to public school because for a long time I had been homeschooled. I was very shy, very uncomfortable, and I would always kind of find the friend group where I was capable of kind of like sitting on the sidelines of that group, listening to the conversation and chiming in with my own laughter, you know what I'm saying, when everyone else was laughing, but I really never had anything to say, and I just felt awkward the whole time. Nobody ever really learned much about me because I didn't have the self-confidence to speak an opinion. So people's general opinion of me at this time was most likely that I'm a nice guy, but they don't know anything about me and they don't see any reason to keep me around, because if you're not adding anything of value, then there's no reason to include you in anything. So people are less likely to like you. And here's the thing, when you share an opinion, yeah, you're going to piss some people off, but a lot of people are really going to respect you. And those who are capable of having friends who don't have the same opinions as them are really going to respect you as well. So you'll make certain people like you, you'll turn some people off, but in the end, you'll get way better relationships out of just having an opinion, and you'll garner respect from everybody. The second way that you can scientifically get people to like you is by being genuinely interested in the other person. Now, I did a video where I talked about something similar to this, and I'll link to that right here. But this is really key, you know, because think about when you're not actively engaged in doing something, you're always thinking about your life, right? You're thinking about you and your life and how everything's affecting you. I mean, we're very solipsistic creatures here. And even when you're in a conversation with someone else, oftentimes you're thinking about what are they thinking of me and what can I say next and how can I get something out of this interaction. You're very rarely truly in a present moment where you are actually listening to the other person with no intention of getting anything out of it for yourself. And if you can practice getting into that place where you can genuinely be interested in the other person, and you don't have to be interested in the subject they're interested in. This is a thing I really learned how to do is you just start to learn to love people and treat people as people rather than things that you get something out of. And so when you start communicating with a person, like I can listen to somebody talk about something I can't do it indefinitely, but if it's something that I'm not interested in, but they're interested in and passionate about, I can listen to them and chime in and engage with them because I am interested in the person and just want to see the best out of them. And if you can learn to train that habit of wanting to see the best out of other people, it becomes very easy to be genuinely interested in the other person. And this will have huge impacts on your ability to be liked. People love to talk to the person who will listen to them, because very rarely in our lives do we get somebody who is completely listening to us. This is one of the number one complaints that that wives have about their husbands, is that they're never present. The husband's never present with them. And I mean, like, they might spend a ton of time with their husband, but he's like, his mind's somewhere else, thinking about something else. And honestly, be honest with your life here. The people you spend the most time with, you would rather spend a very small amount of time with them where they're completely present with the engagement of what you're doing than have like a long period of time with them where they're not really present with you. It's about being present. That makes the connection. That makes people appreciate you more. Hey guys, real quick, if you're enjoying this video, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss tomorrow's video. I'm putting out new content every single day to help men improve their lives. All right, now back to the video. The third way you can get people to like you more is by giving credit to the other person. Now, this has a funny way of making you look better in the end, because it's almost like when you give credit to somebody else for something. Maybe you guys worked on a project together and you're like, I want to thank Jeremy over here. He did a great job. You know, it was really him and he made me look great. It has a funny way of making you look like you feel so secure in yourself that you don't need to take the praise. You don't need to take the credit. So you're willing to give it to someone else. And it has a way of making you look more empowered, and people respect you and appreciate you more for doing this. Humility is, sometimes it's overdone. I think being humble has a way of, it's sometimes people pretend to be humble simply because they lack self-confidence, but there's a difference between actually being humble, which is a very good thing, and lacking in self-confidence and trying to mask that in humility. And so if you can actually practice true humility by giving other people credit for things and not being arrogant, people really respect those kinds of people because they're the ones who are truly secure within themselves. I know in our culture today, especially with social media, it's all about flexing and bragging and showing things off, but but like I've always personally found that the people who are really about it don't feel the need to talk about it, you know, and these are the people who I think are the most respected in society. They don't feel the need to constantly compete and let other people know how great they are, because they let their work speak for themselves, or they let their character speak for themselves. And if you can start to practice that, people will really start to like you. I've noticed that tremendously in my own life. The fourth and final way that you can get people to like you is to make yourself less available. Now, this applies to people that you already know fairly well. I figured this out sort of by accident. When you're 18, 19, 20-year-old guy, oftentimes you're hanging out with your boys constantly. And when I was in college, I had to study for this real estate exam, and it was very important that I study a lot for it. So I spent a lot of time telling people I could not hang out with them. They'd hit me up, and they were actually feeling some type of way about it. They weren't always happy, and they thought like I was like ditching them, but I was just focused on what I had to get done in this moment, and I just did not have time to be goofing off with them. So what happened was, I became very scarce, and then suddenly I reappeared after I passed the exam, and I remember I went to this party that my friends were having, a little house party type of deal, and I remember showing up and noticing like a real positive response to the fact that I was there, and people were happy to see me because they hadn't seen me much at all, and they knew I had been doing something and making a change in my life. And that's kind of how you want it to be, right? Like obviously we want to spend time with people as much as we can a lot of times, but if you can take moments where you take a break from spending time with people and work on improving yourself, you'll be a more interesting person, right? Like I don't really like the kind of people where I hit them up and I'm like, what have you been up to? And they're like, same old, and nothing really changes in their life. You're not an interesting person at that point. If you take these times where you're like, I got to focus on me, building me, and you take a break from hanging out with people, or not even necessarily a complete like shut off, but just scarce amounts of time you spend with other people and more time focused on your own self-improvement, you'll be a very interesting person, and you'll be a very valuable resource. We tend to value that which we do not have. This is why a lot of dating coaches always talk about making yourself scarce with girls, because it makes you seem more valuable in their eyes. I'm not really saying you should be playing games like that with your friends or with a girl or anything like that, but just actually having things to do so that when you get back to meeting with your friends more often, they're like, wow, like you were up to some stuff and you've got really interesting stories to tell, and people can be interested and they can be happy to see you genuinely. Guys, that's all I got for this video. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Keith. I made this channel to help men create their ideal lives through self-mastery. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos, because I put out new videos every single day. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.